Welcome back, everyone. Phoenix 3 here, and I want to talk, I guess, about the whole Nintendo relationship with Pokemon. Basically, I had made a comment that was if Pokemon were to leave Nintendo, then Nintendo would pretty much have to file bankruptcy. And someone asked me to just elaborate on that and explain what you mean by that. So that's what I'm going to be doing with however long this takes. Of course, this is going to be completely improvised. I don't have a script or anything written, so all this is just pretty much coming off the top of my head. I don't know if you have actually noticed Nintendo's relationship with the actual community of players or just their shareholders in general, but Nintendo hasn't really been much on the listen to the fans or the people giving you money like bandwagon for the most part. Back in the day when the video gaming crash was happening, Nintendo was one of the companies that helped save the gaming industry, which I'm glad for because I wouldn't be able to play the games I did today or that I do today if the game industry had just completely died out the way it did. So part of the reason was, well, Nintendo's games, how easy they were to play, and just basically the fun factor of it. Now, Nintendo still definitely reserved the fun factor of their games, but now that we have multiple platforms that we can play games on, such as mobile, PlayStation, Xbox, and just computers, just to name a few. I mean, there are some other ones like you have things like the Ouya and some other Steam machines and stuff like that that are also out. But I just lump all of those together as um, gaming computers for the most part. But the biggest deal in Nintendo's success back then was, well, Mario. Mario sold consoles. And then after that, they started releasing hit after hit after hit with Zelda, F-Zero, Star Fox. You know, the list goes on. Nintendo has a library of IPs that they just created and that they just keep just so they can always make new games. But there's always one IP that you see more than everything else, and that's Mario. It's actually no secret that back then Mario was the sole reason that people bought Nintendo systems. Everybody had to play Super Mario World. Everybody had to play just any Mario game. And Nintendo actually helped innovate a bunch of genres that we see today in gaming, like top-down platformers like Zelda, kart racing, the party game series. Nintendo has shown and still shows today that not every game needs to be a first person shooter. And I like that because I'm getting tired of first person shooters. So I loved me some Mario. It was something I've never seen before. Not the Super Nintendo. No, the Super Nintendo was my very first gaming system. So I got to play Super Mario World. Best Mario game, hands down. Like, Super Mario World 3 is up there, but Super Mario World, best Mario game. It did a lot of things right. It was colorful. It was fast paced, even though it didn't have the blast processing that the Sega Genesis had. You had Yoshi. There were branching paths. There were over 100 worlds in the game, secret locations. Um, the game had everything. And let me remind you that this wasn't even a launch title. It came packaged with the Super Nintendo. So you bought the Super Nintendo for what it was, 150, I believe it was back then, and you got a fully fledged game. It's not like all these games that you see nowadays that come with a title that just kind of shows you how the system is supposed to work, or it just lets you do a couple of things. You might be messing around, picking things up, moving around, but it's not like a game. It's just kind of something to give you. It's something to do with your PlayStation or your Xbox or whatever game system you got when it released on. Excuse me. But this was a whole functional game, and that was cool back then. People always looked forward to seeing Mario games. When I grew up, your friends you either had one game system, either the Sega or the Super Nintendo. I was fortunate enough to have the Sega and the Super Nintendo, but a lot of your friends will only have the Sega or the Super Nintendo. So you'll be back and forth over their houses, and you'll be like, "Ooh, this Mario game, it's really cool," or "This Sonic game, it's really cool," and people kind of got their systems based on that. So in that instance, Mario would sell the game system. Then they kept making more and more Mario games, and as the gaming industry started to evolve even further, Mario would sell even more and more consoles. With the Nintendo 64, again, Super Mario 64 was a packaged game that came with the system. The one of the best 3D Mario games to date. Sure, the game does show its age a little bit because the controller is awkward and feel funny. But if they were to like just remake that game with a modern day controller, fix the cameras because the camera is very outdated, and you can have a much better experience. But even still to this day, I play Super Mario 64 because it was really my first introduction to 3D platforming. Then I got involved with things like Tomb Raider and other stuff like that. But Mario was the king of the game industry. And as a Sonic fan, it kind of pains me a little bit to say that, but you got to recognize, you know, what did what. Sega and Sonic still did a lot for the gaming industry, but Mario single-handedly saved it for the most part. But that all that charm, it's kind of lost now. And what I mean by that, well, Mario simply doesn't sell games anymore. Zelda doesn't sell game systems anymore. Or it's not that Mario doesn't sell games, they don't sell game systems, I should say. But all of Nintendo's first party IPs don't sell systems anymore. And the other IPs that they're sitting on, they don't do anything with because they want to make another Mario game. Like if you look at the Mario games we have now, we had um the new Super Mario World. How many reiterations of that game have we seen already? And the 3D ones on the Wii U. How many reiterations have we seen of that game? I own that game on like four different consoles already, or four different Nintendo systems. Just updated graphics, new power ups, and maybe a handful of new stages, but it's the exact same thing over and over again. And people are they're tired of it. They're Marioed out. Even to an extent, I want to say there's Zelda out as well. Even though Zelda hasn't had as many Mario games, but the Legend of Zelda has been getting a lot of games. I'm looking forward to the open world one that they're making just because I want to see how they're going to do it. But there are other IPs that Nintendo is sitting on that they're not doing anything with. Like, there's a possibility of a Star Fox game being released. I've seen the footage of what they have, but we don't know if it's a game or just a tech demo. They've got F Zero that they haven't done anything with. We've got Metroid that they haven't done anything with. There's a bunch of IPs that Nintendo has that they don't do anything with, and that's the underlying problem right there. Is us as fans, we want to see these games again, but they're not doing it because they make Mario games. Also, when you have all your own IPs and you make your own games, you kind of go to favoritism. He's like, okay, so which one are we guaranteed to sell? Everybody in every generation knows who Mario is. Some people in every generation know who Zelda is. Maybe people from the newer generations don't know who Captain Falcon is, or they never played any one of his games outside of Super Smash Brothers. Same thing with Fox or Pit, for example. People don't know the games that these characters come from because they're not making these games. And with everything being first party, it creates a problem because you have to put your resources where you actually want them, and they want to put all their resources with Mario because Mario exactly needs another Save the Princess game or Save the Fairies as the new one did. It's just the same formula. Stop Bowser at the end of the game, save the Mushroom Kingdom or wherever world they happen to be in. And where does Pokemon come in all this? Well, um, Pokemon is not a first party Nintendo game. It's third party. It is one of Nintendo's best selling third party games like ever. And Pokemon does very well. It's got a large fan base between younger and older generations. It's probably more popular with the older generations because players like me who loved Pokemon when we were kids stuck with the series because we enjoyed it. Like Pokemon is my entire life, and I want to see the best come from the series because it helped me a lot during my development into the person that I am now. So I want the Pokemon series to do well, but I feel Nintendo isn't the best match for them anymore. Though I should probably tell you about, the Pokemon Company and the Pokemon Company International. Everything that gets made that's Pokemon related, the games, the anime, uh, music, the cards, any artwork or anything Pokemon related that comes to the States, all that is made in Japan by the Pokemon Company, the parent company. They make the games, they do all this stuff. Even well, Game Freak makes the games, but all that happens in Japan. The Pokemon Company International, they deal with Pokemon on a worldwide basis. So they don't really make the games or the artwork or any of the stuff that we get our hands on that we buy from other retailers or online, for that example. They simply just import, they translate, and that's pretty much it. They're responsible for the marketing of Pokemon around the world outside of Japan. They may be given some tasks to do outside of Japan, like creating their own things. Like I believe the EX Power Keepers Pokemon set was an American, or it was a set made by the Pokemon Company International. They still make products, but the bulk of the products are made in Japan by the Pokemon Company. They oversee all of that. Just when it gets to the States or other countries, they simply are just involved in translation and stuff like that. That's why the new Pokemon games that you see, they come with the ability to have all the languages and stuff like that pre-installed in the game. So rather than them translating the um the game once it comes to the country that they're trying to sell it to, the game cartridges are big enough now to hold enough memory to where they can have every single language that the game's going to be sold to for their respective country and stuff like that. It's also the reason why we don't see any more Pokemon exclusive content anymore that you would normally see in another country. Like here in America, gambling isn't really it's not really looked down upon or anything like that because of our capitalistic system. But in other countries, gambling is seen as a bad thing or something that only adults can do. So rather than put something like that in one game, they completely removed it from the game, changed it to something else so that it doesn't have that problem in other countries. A smart move, but I kind of do miss the game corner. But basically, going into what I had wanted to say was that the Pokemon Company does very well for itself. And I don't feel Nintendo is really doing right things by the Pokemon Company. The biggest thing is Nintendo makes not all their sales, but a lot of their sales come directly from Pokemon and Nintendo's name being on it. Nintendo publishes Pokemon every single one of their games, and you won't ever see a Pokemon game on another system, probably because of a contract that's being done with Pokemon. And I feel this is making Nintendo way too comfortable. Like I don't think Nintendo's public perception of how the world sees them is is good, I guess. Nintendo doesn't think there's a problem, even though there is one. I feel Nintendo has tunnel vision when it comes to a lot of the things that they do because they can easily release a Pokemon game and make millions just from that. I'm gonna see if I could bring up some statistics here or something. I probably should have did this before, but I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of like sales. Uh, All right, we're just gonna wait for this page to open here. But apparently, at the time of this posting, which was the date in on the 12th of December last year, Nintendo has sold, or Pokemon has sold, 1.5 million copies of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire just on that day, or just collectively on that day. That's pretty big. That's not including any additional sales that they have now. And we're talking what, $40 a pop? That's almost $500 million, if my math is right, in just sales. A lot of players also have bought the 3DS, probably the new 3DS that came out for this game, the ones with Groudon and Kyogre on them, just for this game. When Pokemon X and Y came out, I replaced my 3DS with the XL just so I can have the much larger screen to play my games on. So the thing is here is Pokemon is making sales. I hate ads. Ads are so annoying. But anyway, Pokemon sells consoles. That's true. Pokemon is making Nintendo sales. So what would happen if the Pokemon company said, you know what, screw it. We don't want to do any more business with Nintendo. We're going to produce our own cards. We're going to make and publish our own games, and that's it. How would this affect Nintendo? Well, this will come down hard on Nintendo because they'll probably realize that, oh crap, Pokemon is the bulk of our sales. Whenever we sell anything Pokemon related, we do well. They will learn that, well, Mario isn't really selling games as much as he used to. People are still going to buy a Mario game, but a Mario game has never been a must have with the public. Like, I haven't had to buy a Mario game because I must had it since when? Super Mario Sunshine. I think that was the very last Mario game. I didn't even buy that game. A friend gave it to me. So the very last game that I bought, because I had to buy it, was Super Mario 64. I had to buy that game. So I haven't actually had to buy a Mario game in a long time. Like, I may have occasionally bought one Mario game. Like, I think I bought the new Super Mario Bros. But after I seen all the other ones after that, they was just all just the exact same game, and I just lost interest in the series. I'm not the only player who feels that way. So Nintendo's gonna learn. Okay, Mario's not selling games. Zelda is not selling games anymore. Like, people are gonna buy the new Zelda game because I think everyone is morbidly curious on how an open world Zelda game is gonna look. I know I am. But given the choice between Final Fantasy 15, I think it is, and the new Zelda game, I'm definitely going to go with Final Fantasy 15. I think a lot of other people are going to go with Final Fantasy 15. Even though my brother is a very huge Zelda fan, he likes Final Fantasy more. And that's kind of the thing that we're looking at here, is the games just aren't interesting. And as a player like me who have grown up with Nintendo and see the changes or the non-changes that Nintendo is making that other game developers are, I simply just don't have interest in the games anymore. Like, I would like to see Mario games aged up a little bit. I would like to see Zelda games aged up or Star Fox games aged up. You know, um why would I play Zelda when I got the new Final Fantasy to come out with? The new Star Fox game, I'm pretty much going to play that, but is it going to be better than Halo or Destiny? These are the questions that Nintendo are not asking themselves. The Pokemon Company are pretty much going to do what they're going to do because they have no other competition. There is no other Pocket Monster game that you can go around, catch other monsters, and make them fight others and play and trade with other people. That concept is pretty much only exclusive to Pokemon. They don't have a copyright on it, but nobody else is even making games like that. When we're talking about an RPG type game, there are other games that do what Zelda does better. A Star Fox space shooter. Okay, let's see. We got Destiny, we got Halo. Um, the Call of Duty games do very well. So where are they going to do a Star Fox? If they're not making it anything like Call of Duty, Destiny, or Halo, then the game isn't going to be that successful with players like me who are playing Call of Duty, um, Halo, and Destiny. These are things Nintendo is not are not doing. They're not using what people are actually playing games for. They're not looking at what age group plays what and all this other stuff. They're trying to maintain this child friendly image, which isn't a bad thing. But I should also include that Sony and Microsoft are also child friendly companies. They have to be if they want to make these if they want to do well in America for the most part. If Pokemon were to leave Nintendo, I seriously feel Nintendo would have to file for bankruptcy if they don't adapt and make changes. I think the only way Nintendo is actually going to learn is if Nintendo, or not Nintendo, but if the Pokemon Company does leave Nintendo. I would hate to see it happen, but I think it needs to happen because Nintendo, they're not listening to us as fans. Rather than help the gaming community, they restrict us on every single thing we do. Like, I don't know if you heard about the issue of Super Smash Bros. Melee being streamed at events like EVO. Nintendo said you are not allowed to stream this game at EVO. Instead, you have to play Super Smash Bros. Brawl. That's pretty much what they were saying. We don't want you to show our old game that we've been working on. We want you to show off our new game that we're working on. And that's simply not how a gaming company is supposed to act with the community. If the community wants to play Super Smash Bros. Melee, and you've been making Smash games since then, you should probably look at what it is that the community likes about Melee. Be sure to include those things in the games so people will buy the new game. Nintendo doesn't do that. They don't want to go back and revisit anything else. This is the reason why a lot of the older games that we see from Nintendo that get remade have things removed from it. If you take a look at Marvel versus Capcom, the game has been the exact same every single time they made the game. They've made balance fixes, they've updated graphics, they made sure characters play smoother, and they did balance fixes. But for the most part, it's the exact same game. They didn't say, well, maybe we should take out the ability to do a 100% damage combo on all three players. They say, well, if you have the ability to do that off, then do it. So why isn't this the same thing for Super Smash Bros? Another thing that I feel will be the nail in the coffin is Nintendo's content creator program. There's no reason for this program to exist at all, other than for them to say, if you want to make money playing our games on the internet, then you need to pay us money since we're the makers of the game or the publishers of the game. That's not something that they should be doing, and I hope no other gaming company does this because this is the wrong way to treat your fans. I gave you my money for the game. I'm not telling you how to spend my money. So don't tell me what I can and can't do with the game. I'm not hacking the game. I'm not doing anything with the game. So don't tell me that I can't play the game and monetize it. It's just Nintendo has this complete disconnect with the fan base. And rather than explore that disconnect, they don't want to they want to just continue to make all these rules and regulations on their games as if there's nothing going wrong with them. If Pokemon did leave Nintendo, and Pokemon felt that Nintendo was becoming a threat to what it was that they want to do. For to say Nintendo does something super extreme that comes off really aggressive against the players, and it starts to hurt the sales of Pokemon. I do believe that the Pokemon Company will pull their contract with Nintendo, and start multi-platforming their games, which I want to see. I want to see a Pokemon game on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. I want to see Pokemon games go on Android and iOS. I want to see Pokemon become a whole lot more than what it can be because Nintendo's holding it back. I do have my criticisms for the Pokemon Company, but some of the moves that I have seen with it were completely good. Like Pokemon has been completely aged up, but the series grew a decent a decent size. There are certainly a lot more mature themes in it, and the fact that the Pokemon Company is willing to allow third-party developers to make games for them using their IP is also a very good thing. That's one thing I like to see in companies. We got Pokemon Conquest, a very good um, a very good game created from a third party developer. The artwork was nice, the characters were good, and I like that Final Fantasy Tactics style gameplay. It's something that I never thought would ever happen with Pokemon, just given my experience with it, but it was well received. I didn't really care that you couldn't really play your main game once you finished it. You had to do a bunch of side stuff, so I didn't really care for. But the gameplay itself, there's nothing wrong with it. The same thing with Pokken Tournament. You know, this game is being developed by Namco Bandai, which looks really good. And this is what I want to see other companies do. Nintendo doesn't want to do this. Nintendo doesn't have a lot of third-party support because they make all their games themselves. And that's the problem when you're trying to maintain a gaming company. Right now, Pokemon is holding Nintendo in very comfortable waters, I feel, when it comes to the amount of sales that happens. But I think Nintendo's going to do something really aggressive one day. The players aren't going to like it. Everybody is going to move to somebody else. And the Pokemon Company is going to see their sales start to fall because of what Nintendo was doing. And they're going to have to do something. Either the Pokemon Company makes another game for Nintendo or they leave. I kind of see that Pokemon is not really in an abusive relationship, but kind of a relationship that feels like Nintendo is providing for Pokemon when it's the other way around. Like I said, Nintendo, they make money, but the Pokemon Company makes so much money that they can support their own stuff. They can make their own publishing studio. They can support their own I was gonna say they can support making their own Pokemon cards. They can support doing whatever it is they want to do. The Pokemon Company, they're not hurting for money. Nintendo, they're losing money every quarter because people aren't buying Wii U's or 3DS's for that matter. And I think Nintendo, what they need to do is listen to what it is the players want. The players want an F-Zero game, so make it. They're saying they don't want to make an F-Zero game because they're not sure how they want to use a tablet controller for the game. It doesn't need to be that hard. You don't have to use the tablet controller. I know it's supposed to be a first party game, and first party games are supposed to use the hardware, but you don't have to find a way to use everything. And that's my problem with the tablet controller is that people feel like they have to use it. No, you don't have to use it. You can just make a completely different controller, expand the the game the GameCube controller port and make it work for whatever game that you want to make. Because I know I want to play the Star Fox game using my GameCube controller. I don't want to have two different events going on my tablet and on my screen. That's just way too much for me to pay attention to. I want everything to be on screen like it has always been. But Nintendo, they don't understand that. They're trying to, I guess, make everything evolve in a way to where it doesn't need to. But I think something's going to happen sometime soon, maybe in the next like 3 or 4 years. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's why I think Pokemon is going to lose their interest in Nintendo. It needs to happen soon so Nintendo can start to listen to our demands because Nintendo, they're too comfortable right now. They need to be put in check and say, hey, we're the reason why you're still in the game. And if Pokemon leaves and Nintendo can't recover, Nintendo might have to file for bankruptcy. It'll be sad to see it happen, but these things do happen. So that's pretty much all that I have to say on this. I am working on some other videos like rebalancing certain Pokemon for competitive play. I do have my criticisms for the Pokemon Company as well. I might make a video about that. I do have criticisms for Game Freak that I do want to address as well. So I will probably make a video on that as well. I do got some other stuff going on that I want to get out to you guys as well. So do look forward to it. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching my videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It will definitely help this channel grow. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching my videos. And I hope I see you all in the next one.